Andrew Wood is in Hong Kong and joins us now live with more. So, Andrew, why is this victory so important in Hong Kong itself?
Well, you remember just 2 years ago, we had the Umbrella Revolution. The streets of Hong Kong were closed for nearly 80 days by protesters wanting a new deal for direct elections for the head of Hong Kong, the chief executive. Now, some of those student activists are going to become lawmakers here. The youngest, there's a guy who's only 23 years old who's been elected. His party's only 6 months old. It's very interesting because we see a sort of change in perhaps the leadership of the pro-democracy people, the people who are against Beijing interfering too much in Hong Kong. And these very young people seem to have had a lot of support. And there's a lot of talk, too, about what's called nativism, the idea perhaps that in extremes, perhaps even Hong Kong should become independent, that Beijing should just basically leave Hong Kong alone and let it go its own way.
Yet the relationship between Beijing and Hong Kong has been delicate and it has been difficult. So what is the reaction from Beijing and how could it affect those ties moving forwards?
Well, the reaction from Beijing, the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office says that it's resolutely against any form of independence for Hong Kong. Now, remember, Hong Kong actually has a lot of autonomy. That was the promise that China made in 1997 or before 1997 when Hong Kong was handed back to China by the British, that for 50 years, Hong Kong would have its own system of running things and things wouldn't change too much. Unfortunately, a lot of people feel that Beijing now, after about 20 years, is beginning to perhaps interfere a little bit too much with what's going on in Hong Kong. And it does seem that the more Beijing wants to integrate Hong Kong with the mainland, the more people seem to be pushing against it. There's one of the universities here runs a continuing opinion poll on people's identities. And increasingly, people seem to be thinking themselves, especially young people under 30, that they're Hong Kongers first and citizens of the People's Republic of China second.
We haven't heard the last of this. Andrew Wood in Hong Kong, thanks for joining us.